All right. Welcome on in. Second edition of the Hot Corner. And
yeah, buddy. Yeah, you're good. You're good.
We got good? Okay. All right. Giants Sports Talk Live and NorCal Sports Network teaming up for a show, bringing you a San Francisco Giants special. What are we talking about tonight on the Giants again?
What was that? Oh my God. Off-season grade.
Oh, grade. Okay. This ought to be fun. Okay.
Woo!
Can you say?
Yeah. Well, hey, there's only two moves. It's not. It was two moves, man. Look at Turd. Turd's already saying F.
Wow, what's the grade?
I threw away our notes, Eric. We just covered that on our show on GSTL the other night. I threw away our notes. What did I give them? I think I gave them a D. And what did you give them?
I think I gave him a C-.
Hey, Joe, good to see you.
No, I gave him an E. I gave him an E. Joe? I don't know if there is an E, but I gave him an E.
E for effort.
Yeah.
Beto, G-. What's up, Philip?
An E. I like that.
A G-. B. Beto. Not sure what a G-, but it doesn't sound good.
Yeah. He definitely didn't. The Giants definitely didn't hit the G spot this year.
Yeah. Oh man. C for clubhouse vibes. That's more cat knows.
Oh, you and I have talked about it. They get an A if it's about the clubhouse. The clubhouse. Oh, we got all these old guys taking all the young guys under their wing. They're going to be Eric. They're going to lead by example. Does that win you ball games?
Yeah, I know. What's up, Robbie?
It's your boy. Says hi, Eric. Dan ignores me.
Hey, PK, man, he carries on occasionally.
Our boy OG will be asking me about the Sharks Jets game within a matter of seconds.
Absolutely. What's up, Simba? Yeah, Dan. I mean, come on, two moves. That's real. I'm not gonna look. I'm not gonna even bring up Jake Lamb, Joey and Lou. I don't give a shit. It's Joey Lou. I don't give a shit. And hey, you know what? Maybe it's a good thing. And maybe real quick, I guess we could start this right off, Dan. Maybe it's a good thing the Giants picked up a bunch of catchers in the offseason, because news today was Tom Murphy is MIA again.
Oh, gosh. Tom Murphy.
Right on, OG.
And, we had a little thing the Giants put out on Twitter today. Everybody walking in and their cars. But Wilmer has a nice car. I don't know if that's his or he probably rented it, because he probably is, he lives in Venezuela, doesn't he? In the off season?
Yeah, I'm not sure where he lives in the off season.
Don't start with the purse either, Eric.
I was waiting, dude. I was waiting for that.
Don't start with the purse. I send Eric pictures of Wilmer Flores every day. My man crush, Eric calls it. And I sent a beautiful picture, Wilmer getting out of the truck. He's like, nice purse. Nice purse. he was working in the batting cage today. He's looking good in the old batting cage, man. Looks like he beefed up. He's looking good.
We'll see. No, don't get me wrong, right, Dan? I mean, back at 23, when Flores was healthy, he had a good damn bat.
23 homers, and I think he hit like 22 the year before.
Right.
So, he's got some potential. I mean, hey, Wilmer.
Yeah, and he's averaging about 100 games. This platoon thing. Right. We've talked about it on our shows before, individually, I'm sure. And I think we've all talked together about this organization. They get a player who's hot, and then all of a sudden they got to sit him on the bench. I don't understand. There are a lot of things I don't understand, but when a guy is hot, why would you sit him on the bench?
Right. Well, maybe Posey takes a different approach, but let's get into the grade. The first move, of course, was before even the winter meetings even started. Willie Adames, man, that really got me hyped. I don't know if it did the same with you, Dan. I mean, I didn't but it was a coup. I didn't expect. I thought they were going to get Hassan Kim.
It was like a night or two before the winter meeting started, and it was like, boy, Buster jumped the gun, and he's aggressive, and he's
right.
Like, okay, he's got his shortstop. Now he's going to go get a pitcher.
That's here. I'm saying the same thing.
And we all thought, oh, wow, Buster ain't wasting time. He's not messing around. And then nothing. It just like, okay.
And then that was it.
But
that was it.
I think, if I had to rate the move itself, I think because they did not have a shortstop, even in the organization.
Correct.
And you went and got the best shortstop on the market.
Yes.
And
that's what you do.
And you went and got your guy. So it was a glaring hole and need. They filled it, probably overpaid a little bit, but I don't really care. Not my money. And, we always say, spend a little more and get the guy. So they did. They went and spent a little more than they probably, probably not a whole lot more, maybe $4 or $5 million a year. Maybe it was 25 million over 7 years, but big deal. So what's the difference? 155 or 182?
Right.
To me, that's 7 years. That's funny money for these guys. So I give the move an A for the move itself.
That's fair. And then we get into, of course, the next move we thought that never happened. How about should we grade that? Should we grade the move that never happened?
Burns?
Yes. Should we even grade that? Because I mean,
that was a failure, in my opinion.
That was a failure. I 100% agree with that. And
see, I'm not giving that one an F.
No,
I'll give a little bit of grace to the Giants because at the end of the day, it seemed like he was quite content and he wanted to go to Arizona.
I don't believe that. I don't believe. For me,
I do with the family situation. He got a new child. He close to home. If he can play in your backyard and make all that money, why not? I think
but half your games are on the road anyways. On the off season, you go wherever the hell you want. You're a rich man. You could go buy a plane. I mean, honestly, people have families. All players have families to a certain extent, and sometimes you can pick where you want to go. And I get it. I understand it. But I think he pivoted because he wasn't getting what he wanted from the Giants.
Now you say he pivoted though. Yeah, I think a lot of Giant fans get caught up in the hype, Eric. Oh, he's coming to San Francisco. The deal's almost done. Is it really even that close?
It doesn't sound like it was. I thought it was because just you know why I said that? It's because you had Logan Webb going out there on Chris Rose's show, part of John Boy, right? Going out there and talking about, I'm gonna give Burns a call. Yeah, we'd love to have him. Be over the moon to have Corbin Burns. Willie Adames, his buddy, who backed him up at shortstop while he was in Milwaukee, was on KMBR saying, yeah, I've been talking to him. It's going to be good, man. And what happened? To me, the Giants were full court press trying to get him, and it just didn't. It didn't work.
I will say this. I know the family situation. When you're young and I think you had twins, and they're like 6 months old or something, you are going to be home for those 81 games. It's a 6 month long season. So you're giving yourself 3 more months at home. And I think that probably was some influence from his wife. Maybe I'm sure his wife said, hey, you sure would be nice to have you home a little bit more. And it sounds like
that's a lot of money, man.
Sounds like he wanted to be home, but I mean, the deal he got pretty darn good. He's got a 6-year deal with 2 years. He can opt out after 2 years. So when his kids are, older and maybe there's a little less need when they're, 2.5, 3 years old, maybe he feels like, hey, if things open up, maybe I'll go sign just over with the Dodgers right around the corner.
Shit, he might. But I'll tell you one thing. I don't know if he's going to get how much is he averaging right now, AAV? Is it 35?
What was it? 35? Didn't he? Yeah, 35
okay,
times
tell me
6,
this. Right? Do you think he's going to, in 2 years, do you think he's going to command an AAV of $35 million a year?
Depends on what he does. Depends on what he does.
Maybe.
Exactly. It all depends. He's got the security he wants. He's got the 210. He's got, that's lifetime generational money he's got.
That's generational money. 100%. That's what I'm saying.
So
I've said that to Eric before. There's often times when if I could play, if I'm a good player who is a true ball fan, and I grew up as a kid being a ball fan, and I loved the San Francisco Giants. and I've already got my $318 million just set aside in the bank. I can play wherever I want. I don't have to play anywhere. I can go wherever I want. Yeah, just let me go to San Francisco. I think a lot of players get caught up in that over the course of their careers. Guys who end up signing in cities because of agents and because of money, they go to cities where are they truly happy?
Right.
Take the money and be happy.
Yeah.
A lot of money
lot of things that are happening,
always.
which is kind of interesting, is a lot more people in the majors are living in Arizona in the year round.
Notice that.
And I know Crawford and Webb have homes down here, and I was talking to Casey. I think there's a ton of guys that have homes here, and they're not just. You think about there's 14 teams that are here, and what a beautiful place to be. You're gone in the summer, you're working through September, right?
And when the season's done, Arizona's beautiful in November.
Exactly. Yeah. And the taxes are pretty good for your payroll. So I think Arizona is becoming a destination spot along, obviously, with LA, but Arizona, man, October through April, you can't beat the weather.
Yeah, you can't.
7 months of the year, it's unreal, and very little rain, no humidity, hardly.
Right.
And you just about have weather that averages you probably 75. You got some 80s days, you got some in the 60s, but it's beautiful. I haven't worn a pair of pants but one time this year, and I went to a wedding, shorts.
Okay, all righty then.
I mean,
I know.
No pants. Yeah, I'm wearing shorts year round.
Yeah. There you go.
To piggyback on what Eric said, where we lose Burns to a divisional rival.
That's a big one. That's a divisional
rival. And the fact they've got Corbin, Carroll, I expect he's going to have he didn't have a great year last year. I think he's going to have a much better year this year. Plus, they got Pop at first base. So when people come into our chat, I don't know about yours over on your channel, Dan, but all these people who say they're going to win 95 games, they're going to compete for the playoffs. Don't forget other teams have gotten better, gotten a lot more done in the offseason than the San Francisco Giants have. And when I see guys like Larry Bear, don't worry about the Dodgers. Well, you sure as hell better worry about your competition if you're in business.
100%.
Yeah. Yeah. If you're in business, you might want to be a little better than the guy that you're competing against.
Keep an eye on what's going on down the street. Yeah.
And I tell you, and that's a bigger factor too, because not only, and we're still talking about Burns here, not only did you lose him, you lost him to a divisional rival who you are trying to leapfrog to get into a wild card. Yeah. I mean, that's just, come on. Yeah. They had to have known that they were talking or something. I mean, goodness. Again, for me, for losing, I'm a bit hard, but I think that was a fail. That was an F as far as missing out on Corbin Burns. That's just me. Glenn, you're sitting at a D.
Yeah, an E. E. I come up with an E.
And Dan, what did you think with the miss?
I think if you hadn't have lost Blake Snell, it wouldn't have been as bad. But you lost Snell, and now you have who's your second guy? Who's the next guy?
Ray.
Is it Ray? Is it Ray?
Ray's number 2.
Verlander. I mean, so
but think about that.
Right.
I mean, we did a little deal the other night. We predicted who's going to be the first pitcher to go down, and we think it's going to be Robbie Ray.
That's fair.
Oh, I think it's going to be Verlander.
You say
Verlander?
Somebody
else said Verlander. Yeah.
Yeah, we do our update every night on the show. We do our check-in. I say, Eric, Verlander get hurt yet?
Yeah, exactly. I'm falling and I can't get up. Yeah, that's great.
We've got so many people, Dan, come into our chat every night, man. It doesn't matter. And gotta love them. And that's what makes, I think, both of our channels superior to others, not to blow our own horn here, but we call a spade a spade. When I listen to local radio, and my God, the little bit of giant talk there is, they can do no wrong. Well, I think all the fan base are buying into it because I don't think they can see the forest for the trees, man, with this ball club. Oh, my God, 95 wins. That is a common thing over in our channel. Eric, we got guys in every night. 90, 95, second place.
Well, Larry Miller at 92, 95. I mean, that's just ridiculous. Okay, now let's segue into
But this isn't a great pitching staff, is what I was going to say. This is a pitching staff that I have long said, even going back to last year at the almost the end of the season, that this pitching staff is an injury away from a complete cluster mess.
Could be
one injury, and this thing's falling apart at this.
Well, here we go. Because the next move that happened, which was like a month or two later after Adames, was Verlander. Well, I mean, when you guys look,
what a mess.
And let me set this up a little bit too, because Verlander, look, he's a stopgap. He's a 42-year-old stopgap. He's not the future of the franchise. He's just here to eat up some innings until the young guys are ready to go. Again,
come on, Eric. I thought we were building our future. Am I being bamboozled here as a fan?
Yeah. So, I mean, take it for what it's worth as far as that. Now, is he going to – I'm thinking he's going to have the mirror image of Blake Snell. I think he has a fantastic beginning of the season, and I think he fades. Exactly opposite of how Snell did.
Okay. That's an interesting take. I mean, that could happen. My whole grade on Verlander is just meh. It's a C to me.
See?
It's fair. Just like, he could have a spark. He can throw some innings. He might be productive, and he might help some of the younger guys just being around him. But at the same time, here's my thing on this, guys. They've already said that the 5th spot is up for competition between Harrison and Birdsong.
Right.
You're telling us, though, you love your young pitchers. We love our young pitchers.
Yes.
All right, so now you're going to knock one of them out automatically?
Correct.
Right. And Hicks gets the job?
Right. Without a competition. He's just giving it to him.
Without a competition. Just Hicks gets the job.
Yeah.
I mean, who's running this show? Are they afraid of Jordan Hicks because he signed here because he wanted to be a starter? Well, he's not guaranteed. You got to perform. He didn't perform last year as far as I'm concerned because his arm didn't hold up.
Correct.
And his arm didn't hold up because he's not in shape to pitch for a full season as a starter. So if I'm the Giants, I say, you know what, Jordan, we gave you your shot. We don't think that's best for our team. We think you're best in the bullpen. And if he wants a trade, then get rid of him. Move his ass out of town.
Yeah, but Dan, this team, this organization, and the team in general, they always seem to pat their players on the back, and the players can do no wrong. Oh, that's why we can't trade them. It's like a buddy. It's like an old Elks Lodge over there. They can't trade anybody. Heaven help them if they traded. So I can't trade my buddy. He's been here many years. He said, gotta keep him. Well, time to move off that philosophy.
And here's the thing, and Glenn, I've told you this before, and Dan, you may have heard me say this. The issue with the starting staff is there's the only legitimate guy who I think is going to go the distance is Logan Webb. Everybody else right now is a question mark. Now, it could be positive or it could be negative. I'm not going to – we don't know. I'm just saying it's a question. And when I say it's a question, I'm not saying they're going to absolutely be trash, but we don't know until unfortunately the game started playing. But yeah, Dan, I 100% agree with it. And I said this to Glenn on numerous occasions as well. You talk about these young guys, but you got one young guy. I posed this, remember the question to the chat the other day. What would you rather have? Would you rather have had Logan Webb, Robbie Ray, Justin Verlander, Hicks, and Harrison? Or would you rather have had Corbin Burns, Logan Webb, Robbie Ray, Birdsong, and Harrison?
There you go.
You see? And it's like, and that could have easily gotten done. All you got to do is just have to pay the guy. Maybe do
it. Good point, Eric. And you see how one pitcher made the whole difference. Where I'm taking the the negative point of view and saying you get one injury, and it's going the entirely opposite direction.
Here's my question. What happens if Harrison and Birdsong are the best two starters in camp?
Yeah, what do you do? What do you do?
What are you going to do? You just pigeonholed yourself. Why don't you just say, you know what? we're going to see how it works out. And, there's a possibility we may even go to a 6-man rotation. See, to me, I would be okay with a 6-man rotation simply because they have a deep bullpen and Webb goes deep, and Webb needs to cut back on his innings. You can't keep pushing this guy 200, 200, because I'll tell you what, if he goes 200 this year and then next year he's, you could start to see him break down a little bit. And 200 is, here I am talking 200. To me, it's soft. I mean, guys used to pitch 350 to 375 when, when I was watching baseball, the Marichals and the Gibsons. Yeah. Right. And it was a 4-man rotation, and there was not one of them that ever had Tommy John. I don't understand it. I just don't get it, but it is what it is. But why don't we let's see how it works out?
See how you know what? Hey, perfect. We talked about this in the green room. Remember the Cincinnati Reds hype video? What was Francona saying? If people are going to be competing, you're going to earn it, man.
That was the title. That was the title of the hype video. You got to earn it.
Bob Melvin was interviewed the other day. This team's pretty much already set. It's already set. And then his answers to his players are set. But holy crap, Dan. He's got, have you heard the latest? They don't know what to do with the players they got. Lamont Wade, we've been trying to figure out, well, Jesus, is he going to platoon with Wilmer? Oh, well, wait a second. We want to get him into the outfield too. We want to get him out there. And then if he's, and then are you going to have Encarnacion playing first, or is he going to DH? And as Eric alluded to earlier in the show, when we go into a spring training, I'm usually excited. You usually have an idea of what you've got. This organization doesn't know what they've got. Right. There are too many question marks to call this a winning organization.
And you know what, Jeff Young, matter of fact, I think it was Jeff Young the other day. There's going to be serious consideration for Jake Lamb being a DH.
I saw that.
You saw that, right? There you go. It complicates it even more. So now you're just you're blocking Lucy. At least, hey, if you're going to get a DH, I'd rather see Luciano in there than freaking.
Dan started the show. Dan started off the show tonight by saying that at least we can start by saying that our old buddy's gone, Farhan Zaidi, but this still reeks of bargain basement baseball.
I'll tell you, if Jake Lamb,
if he makes
this team, if Jake Lamb makes this team over a Luciano or a Schmidt or Matos, it's like, I'm just going to blow a gasket, because you know what? Jake Lamb is not going to be part of the future. This is the year to find out about Luciano and Matos and Schmidt and McRae, because you know what? They're on their last option.
Dan, should have been doing it
100%.
Should
have been doing it last year. Absolutely.
She did it 2 years ago.
And
2 years ago.
Well,
yes.
Yeah. This is a team of missed opportunity as far as the young guys. Yes. They never know what they've got. And even when you look at the guys they've got in there who performed last year, how many times have we talked about it, Eric? You got Ramos, who was an all-star after playing 6 weeks of baseball, but he wasn't good enough to crack the lineup. Well, wasn't good enough. Well, the Giants they are the worst enemy when it comes to judging their own talent. And if you don't like what you got, if Luciano if it becomes too much to handle, then move on. Move on. Stop playing games with these guys.
Rip off the Band-Aid, so to speak.
Yeah,
it's pissing me off every year that we can't, like, we got, again, it goes back to the old buddy system. Well, how long are you going to keep? Is he part of the team, part of the future, or not? Simple question.
I've got one positive. If Wade is going to play some outfield, then to me, there's no need for Yaz on the roster.
There you go.
Because he's your left-handed bat. If he's going to play outfield because you want to play Encarnacion more at first base, or Flores, or whatever you're going to do. Now, he's out of options. That's interesting. He has to make the team or go on waivers, Encarnacion.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah. If he doesn't make the 26-man roster, he's got to go on waivers. So
yeah, but you know what I'm afraid happens this season, guys, and chime in. Let me know what you think. With all the talk, especially from Bob Melvin in the first few days of camp, talking about getting who's playing where. We got Lamont Wade. We didn't even have him in the outfield conversation in our shows. Like, that came right out of left field, no pun intended. Huh. And then you've got Encarnacion who plays left field. You've got Flores who plays first base. So you know what I'm thinking is going to happen? You know what I'm thinking? When he's starting to throw these names all over the diamond, it's going to be another year of, hey, Encarnacion went 4 for 5 last night, so he's going to suit up. We'll have to put him in left field today. I think it's going to be a whole platooning of who's hot, who's not. If you're hot, you're going in. I hate that because baseball is a game. You got to go look long term. You could have a bad week, bad 2 weeks, and you're going to turn it around. You can flip the switch, and you get a player wins the game for you in consecutive nights. So this is a team I think that just chases their tail too often than not.
Yeah, I like what a couple guys say here. Let me star that other one here.
Yeah, I see it.
Philip. There we go. Okay, so Ibrahim says they never bothered to see what they had in Schmidt. They almost wrecked Ramos. They got in Lucy's head. Matos has been yo-yoed his whole career. We're not even good at showcasing young guns for trade. Yeah. And Philip kind of says something, piggybacks on that. We're unique situation last year to actually make a bunch of trades for a haul back, and they effed up. They totally
100%.
This is what we were talking about for 2 years, Eric. I mean, in 23, we were talking about why are you doing that was the year we were saying move Flores because he's at his all-time peak.
So you're going to get something from him.
You're going to get something for Flores. You were going to get something for, was that the Rodon year or was that 22?
That was 23 was that was the Alex Cobb year.
Yeah, Cobb. We were saying get rid of Cobb.
Yeah.
Get rid of these guys that are vets that are good because you can actually get something for them. But the Giants, I don't know why they are so adverse risk to making a trade.
Oh, it's ridiculous.
It's like, come on, guys. I mean,
look, this team could look so much different if they had moved Rodon. Yeah, they got a comp pick, but it wasn't nothing great, right?
Jesus, they didn't move Snell. What the hell was that about?
This is where I'm going. You had a chance to move Rodon and Jock in 22. You had a chance to move
Gosman?
Cobb in 23 and
oh no, you didn't move Gosman.
Flores.
You could have signed Gosman, yeah.
Could have got that. Could have got rid of those 2 in 20. And then last year, Snell. So you had 5 players that you could have got something back in return. This team could be totally different look. But you know what you got now? Out of all those guys, those 5 guys that are now gone, you've got nothing. You got nothing. You got 1 comp pick. Yeah. And who was it they got? Was it Whitcomb or something like that?
Oh, was it Joe Whitman? Joe Whitman.
Or Whitman. And that's it. Yeah. You got Joe Whitman.
Sometimes it's not bad to get rid of a good player.
No, it's not.
You move him when he's good, and the fan base might not like it, but that's how you're going to compete. Winning championships, and I can speak from hockey because that's my background, and I've seen so often a team will win the Stanley Cup, and 3 weeks later, 2 or 3 of their top players are gone. Why? You keep bringing in fresh blood, new players, you move on, you regroup, you go for it again. Because what also happens in hockey for whatever reason is even with star players in your lineup, you win, you have a couple of good seasons, you win a Stanley Cup, and then you don't have that hunger. You keep bringing in guys who are hungry, maintaining a nucleus of good talent, but you bring in that hunger factor. And I don't know, Eric's hitting the nail on the head too when he says that this is a team, again, of missed opportunity. All these trades they could have made. It's not 1 or 2. It's a habitual problem with the organization. You can talk about Farhan if you want. Posey is showing no difference. This goes back many years. They have missed. Again, that might be my new slogan for this year because the San Francisco Giants don't like to change their slogan. So maybe I'll just call it San Francisco Giants baseball, the team of missed opportunity.
Maybe. Well, think about this, guys. Who is their general manager?
Yes, Manasian.
What was his role before that? Head of scouting player personnel or
something like that, yeah.
So basically his job was to find the guys and tell Farhan, hey, this guy's good. This guy might be worth looking into as a trade. Here, how about this guy? So that was his job. So he's still here.
Yep.
Okay. And what kind of moves did we see the team make when he was here? The Yaz's, the dumpster divers. Here,
correct.
Let's go.
The diamonds in the rough.
We got to go find this guy. And that was his job. And Farhan, so now there's someone underneath him that's doing it, but he already knows all these guys. So I'm just kind of like, the only difference is that Buster Posey's Pobo and his name's Buster Posey right now. I mean, he does have more clout. He does have more, sway when he walks into the clubhouse and he's down there at Scottsdale and people see him. They're not going to just be joking around on their phones and stuff like that. They're probably going to, oh crap, we better be about business, right? Because Buster's quiet, but he's not a kind of guy you're going to want to take advantage of because he'll quietly just get rid of you. Okay.
Right.
Where Farhan, there was no respect for Farhan. Believe me.
Didn't seem like it.
There was no respect for Farhan around. The players didn't know what to expect at all as far as where they were coming, where they were going. So, and they couldn't stand the whole up and down, I mean, remember we talked about Ross Stripling when he went up to Sacramento to pitch, and they said, he drives up there, and then he gets there and he says, no, we want you in San Diego. And he told me, he goes, screw you. I just drove up here 2 hours. I'm pitching.
Right.
And then we had the talk in the clubhouse that he was injured. And he's like, that's news to me.
Yeah, I remember that.
Yeah. See, Farhan was pulling crap all the time, trying to pull this little waiver scenario. Oh, like, yeah, he's got an injury. Yeah. Oh, I do? Thanks for notifying me.
I'm surprised that didn't trigger like an investigation by MLB.
I know. Should have.
That could have been bad. I said this yesterday, Dan, and Glenn, you might remember. Here's the deal I got with Farhan. Yes, he's still got to show. He hasn't had a trade deadline yet. He hasn't had a draft, so we don't know what he could do on that. But I'm going to tell you one thing I'm not going to do, and we fell for it with Farhan. We fell in love with the name, right? Ooh, we're plucking him from the Dodgers. Oh, it's going to be great times. He's going to do all these great things. 2021. In Farhan, we trust. I'm not doing the same with Buster Posey. I'm just not. He's going to have to go out there and prove it. Yes. Is he a Hall of Fame player? Yes.
Well, wait a second, guys. You started off the show by talking about all these moves like the Burns and, a lot of others. Maybe we should be great. What's your grade on Buster Posey in the offseason? Are you going down that road tonight? How do you grade his performance?
Well, there's certain things that could be, because he might have been handcuffed. Because, again, the things that's the same with Buster Posey and Farhan Zaidi is ownership. So there is that in play. So maybe they didn't allow him to spend as much money as he wanted to spend. That's a very real possibility.
Well, I think he could have done a lot better. He made the move, brought in a 42-year-old pitcher. He brings in Justin Verlander. Then I hear at the press conference, we brought him in because I played against this guy. I know what he brings to the table. You've been retired now for years. So wait a second. You're bringing in a guy who should be retired, and you knew what he did 8-10 years ago. Yeah. I just can't get over this, bringing him in. And there are other guys like Flaherty. Eric and I were always, oh, my God, bringing in Flaherty. And I had them I wanted to take a flyer on the 35-year-old Japanese pitcher. They were all laughing. I go, hey, all of a sudden, 35 is the new 27.
Let me make an analogy here. It's interesting because, and I don't want to turn this into a political, so I'm not making this political, but we did have a new administration recently, and if you notice, started making bold moves. Mm-hmm. Buster had a chance to do the same thing.
He did.
And he didn't. He could have come in, Phillips' comment, he could have said, I'm being bold. I'm not re-signing Yaz. not to $9 million. He can be a free agent, and I'll entertain bringing him back for 5 or 6 if he wants to come back. But you know what? You had a chance to say you're 34, going to be 35. I got young guys in the wings. I got McRae. I got Matos. I got Luciano. I got to find a spot for him. And you're holding up a spot, and just being here is a distraction. So let's move off. That is a bold move, making a statement. Whether it's the right move or not, at least it's a statement. Like, we're not holding over the guy that continues to hit 225.
But if they're going to say they're going to play the young players and they're, you talked earlier about the pitching. Oh, Buster said, we love our young pitching. Well, the pitching staff grew a lot older. Average age of this pitching staff increased substantially in the offseason. You've got a Luis Matos. Do they have room for him? Why? Because you're bringing in old players. You're keeping old players. I don't understand. And then there's a lot of talk. I like Encarnacion, but at the end of the day, another bargain basement dumpster dive, bringing him in from Mexico. Like, for once, could they not build a team with up and coming potential stars instead of getting stopgap players and looking to shine them up and buff them and maybe we can make something out of this.
Right.
I've always called it dumpster diving. And this off season, if I had been living under a rock somewhere and did not know that Farhan was gone, I would assume today, Sunday, February 16th, he was still here.
Yeah, that's a great point. Now, Heckmo says not signing Yaz is bold. Come on, man. Okay, Heckmo. What I meant by that is he was a teammate of Buster's. Buster Posey played with him in 21, and they were, I'm sure they're fairly tight. So is it a bold move getting rid of him? Not really, but it's not a good sign when you're signing your buddy who is not a productive player.
And it's not part of the future.
Right. He's not part of, if he was 30 and he had a bad year and he had some previous years that were good under him, fine. But Yaz has not done anything in 22, 23, or 24 that is consistent to say, yeah, this is worth maybe blocking another year for one of our potential guys that we'd like to see. So why I say it was bold in signing him, or would have been bold getting rid of him, is because it's like you didn't have to get him, but you would have been making a statement. Look, I'm not playing favorites here. He was my teammate, but I'm running a business. To me, it was like what Glenn just said. I really don't know exactly what we're doing yet, so might as well just hold over everything. Let's just run it back because I really don't have a plan yet because I'm trying to figure this out as we go. I mean, that should be their freaking slogan, as we go.
Well, let me expand on it and ask you this, Dan. You got Buster Posey, who played in the organization, played with some of these players. He's bringing in a Verlander who he played against, and he speaks highly of. What are your thoughts? Is he the right guy to be running your team when it comes to the entire organizational structure? I've said to Eric, is this the guy you want walking down to the locker room on a Tuesday afternoon saying, Logan, I just traded you? Or has he got the balls to do it?
Yeah, I think it's
you can't be buddies. You can't. You got to have your nameplate is on the door that says I'm the boss. Can he live up to that expectation?
Yeah.
Is what I'm asking.
It's a good point. And the thing I loved about Brian Sabian is you knew where you stood with the guy. He always told you what he thought. He says, we believe in you. We don't remember that when he said, we don't make mistakes.
That FP Santangelo said that.
We don't make mistakes. Look, that is a bold general manager who is not afraid to pull the trigger. Sometimes you're going to make trades and it's going to work out for you. Sometimes it's not. But the Giants, 6 years, we've had 2 trades of significance. Chris Bryant and the Robbie Ray. That's it.
That's it.
That in 6 years.
I don't even call that one. I don't even call the Bryant one significant. He was here and gone.
Yeah, he was half a year. Yeah, it was. And you had to do it because if you didn't do it, you were like, "What are you doing?"
They almost didn't do it. They were literally a minute away from not even getting that done.
Right, and that's Farhan again, waiting.
Yep.
I said to Eric yesterday, we did a show yesterday afternoon, and I said to Eric, how did I say it, Eric? If you know someone who's struggling in life, and they hit rock bottom, they hit rock bottom, and that's when they can turn their life around. But this organization never quite hits rock bottom. They keep trying to, like the Roadrunner, they're spinning their wheels and throwing Band-Aids on stuff and bringing in 42-year-old pitchers. And so there's no rebuild, but there's no future. It's sort of in limbo. You guys agree? It's there in the middle. It's not getting any better. And then they can say, well, it's not getting any worse.
Yeah.
Oops.
See,
my battery.
I'll read what Architect's saying because I see you brought it up. Posey is my favorite Giant of all time. Yeah, absolutely. As a player, brought championships. He was awesome, but I don't think he's a fit for the position. Talking about the president of baseball operation, ownership put him there as a PR move to cheap out for the next few years on payroll until they prove it wrong. And look, and here's the thing: does Posey strike you as the guy this is an acronym we used when I was in Air Force, the HMFIC. What is the HMFIC? Well, Sabian exuded that. He is the head motherfucker in charge. You knew where you stood with this guy, right? He ain't going to snowball you. He's going to tell you the truth. But hey, if you're not going to produce, he's going to find another guy that's going to do that, right?
I like that.
Yes.
And that's the thing. If you don't have the mentality of being the HMFIC, well, guess what? You're going to have a tough time. Because it's a tough job. It's not just it's not just about the baseball philosophy and how you want your club to play. You got to be able to pull triggers on some of these moves, and you can't be afraid. And I think you talked about it, being risk adverse. That's all this organization has been ever since the hiring of Farhan. It's all risk adverse, and it's still going on. And I don't get it because you got a guy who's got 29% ownership of the club in Greg Johnson and Charles Johnson, and they're investors, right? Don't they take risks? I don't know, man.
Hey, look who's coming into the Big Lou.
Hey. Sorry about that. My boss is in town for the NBA All-Star game, so we went out to Skoma's, a restaurant in the city, and then he had to get dessert, so we had to go to Ghirardelli Square and get the world famous sundae. So, but I've been listening the last 15 minutes. I think the Giants should have two mottos: a lot of talk and very little action. And we're always on the safe side because everything they do is always got to be safe. I just been listening. I think you guys bring up a lot of good points, when I think the biggest problem with fans is we fall in love with players and the team, but not the operations of the way the team goes from year to year. Perfect example, Giants fans got all excited about Buster, which was great. I mean, I was happy about it, but when you really get down to science, there is no difference. I've been telling Dan since day one, he's a guinea pig. He's just a name where the Giants aren't doing anything. We're still 26 million under. We get word that our great backup catcher that we spent $4.2 million on is hurt again. As we know, we get a lot of crumbs that are basically crippled, and we're hoping they're going to be good. They were 6, 8, 10 years ago, and it's just not happening. And the problem is too many of our fans think, oh, well, we're going to be good. No, we're actually a worse team than last year. And as Glenn says, someone should hold responsibility, but we're all basically saying, yeah, but Buster got to give him a year. Why? Why do we need to give him a year? He's had 6 months. The team is worse. He was a great player, but now it's different. It's almost like when you run an operation and you're a VP and you get promoted to now the CEO president. It's not all about being friends. It's about making money and making the team better. And right now we're just not better. I mean, I've never seen probably in the last 15 years where there's so less excitement about opening day. You ask the average fan, hey, do you know when opening day is? They're going, yeah, it's first week in April. Well, you're wrong. Okay, opening day is actually the second week of March when the Dodgers play the Cubs. The Giants opener is March 27th. And they go, oh, I didn't know it started that. Well, then you're not a real fan. And I just think we give way too much, give Buster time. Okay, if it wasn't Buster and it wasn't a name and we had somebody else in his position, wouldn't we be sort of pissed off? Like, who do we hire? Why do we hire this guy? Does he not know what he's doing?
But isn't it again that love affair with, but he was that's the golden boy.
Yeah. Okay. Well, it's just one of those things. So I just wanted to bring that up, because you guys, I love listening to you guys, and, just one of those things where, just imagine if, it's the same thing. We go with the manager. It was a safe hire, getting Melvin. It wasn't like he was winning in San Diego, like when we snagged Bochy from San Diego. We had an idea, a plan. We just did them because we needed someone safe. It's like we had other choices, but what did we do? Instead of maybe taking a bench coach that's been in the Giants organization for 20 years, we got a former catcher. It's like, okay, it didn't really, but again, it just all goes back to being safe. And I think the Giants thing right now is the biggest problem with the Giants organization is they've forgotten about the fans. So that's what I think.
Yeah, exactly. I brought up Dallas because I got something to say about this. He says, yes, very few moves this offseason, but he's taking inventory. He doesn't know what he has. He needs to figure out what they have in Matos, Eldridge, and pitchers. Then he can make some decisions. Well, he's been part of this organization for the last couple of years as a owner, and he should understand who the Giants have in their organization. Right? That's what I would think. Why would he move back to San Francisco and not understand what the team is doing? Obviously, he had some intentions in taking a bigger role in the direction of the club. So I kind of push back on that because I think he should have taken inventory by this point in time. That part, I don't buy that one. He should understand what the Giants have, quote unquote, in their system.
I think they're caught up also in the, if you build it, they will come. Hey, just throw a team together and we'll always make money and people will show up. But I know for a couple of, maybe all three of you in the chat, there's quite a few as well, but I'm going to be overspending my nights at the Valkyrie games.
Here we go.
Well, all of a sudden, the San Francisco Giants, they've got competition for entertainment dollar. The Valkyrie sold out 18,000 seats. I can sell my Caitlin Clark game for $4,000 a ticket. They're hot. People are going to go. It's sold out.
And now how bad that's going to look.
When there's 19,000 or 18,600 or whatever it is, 18,000 on a Tuesday night at the Valkyrie game, when was the last time that you said, well, we had a sellout at a Giants game on a Tuesday night? They're going to have competition. And I don't know why. I think they rest on their laurels. They're just content. And it goes back to what I said earlier.
They're just content whether or not there's competition or not. They're content whether there's competition or not.
I'll tell you exactly what's happening with this ownership group. The Johnsons have the majority share, 26, 27, something like that percent. They did not originally have hardly anything to do when the Giants in 1993 were getting ready to go to Tampa. A group led by Peter McGowan came in, and it was McGowan, and I always forget the name. You know him, Lou. It was a husband and wife. Burns. Okay, the Burns. They were actually real Giants fans. Okay, they loved the Giants. He died early, the husband of Sue Burns. So what happened is, as he was dying, Charles Johnson went in and bought a bunch of his shares. And then she got sick. She was at the games. She was like a big, huge fan. She was always there giving the players hugs. And she was like, really loved the Giants. And then Charles Johnson starts buying up her shares. So, and then Bill Newcomb, who was one of the better owners, and he was the president of the club, he got ousted by Larry Baer as president of baseball ops in 2012 after I don't think it was right before the 12 season. So Larry Baer comes in. Bill Newcomb was a guy who actually wanted to put money into the ball club and players. And that was a clash. So what's happened is Larry Baer is the guy that kind of started to phase out Brian Sabean. So Sabean feels like he doesn't even part of the organization anymore. If you hear him a couple years ago on Larry Krueger's show, he said, I felt like I don't even root for this team anymore the way I was treated. You know, they did the same thing to Bochy. Larry Baer brought in Farhan, and we've talked about it, how Farhan removed all the nostalgia from the clubhouse and the walls. And it's like, I don't know what the heck they were thinking, but Greg Johnson, who basically has majority share, runs it for his daddy, because his daddy's like 94 in Florida. Mm-hmm. He doesn't know he's not doing anything. But Greg Johnson doesn't go to the ball games. He's not a baseball fan. It's all about. So I think the struggle is going to be for Buster. When I put out a thing on Twitter the other day where Nick Saban said something to the effect that mediocrity cannot live with people who are achievers, and they're going to end up hating each other because they're not on the same page, right? Well, I wonder how Buster's going to get along working with this ownership group that doesn't have a lot of passion for winning. They seem to be like content, as you guys said. They're content. They're content with Mission Rock. They built that up. It's kind of like this is their new baby. Look at all the revenue we can produce. We can get rent coming in here. It's a beautiful little structure. I mean, they freaking went on their ball game broadcast and talked about it, Larry Baer, for a whole inning. And it's like, nobody cares about what's going on the other side of the McCovey Cove. I mean, the Giants fans care about what's happening between the lines, okay? To put a competitive ball club. Look at 2010. Steve Perry singing Don't Stop Believing in the playoffs. Look at that crowd. It was pumped up. And it was pumped up because they were winning, and you had Bochy and Sabean running the show. Sabean, as you said, whatever that he's HSIMFR, whatever.
HMFIC.
Okay. Whatever that was, you knew he was in charge.
He
didn't put up with it. And same with Bochy. And This is what they did. And they went all stop. They brought in the wokest dude in America, and Gabe Kapler.
Where your Marlins at?
Yeah.
Oh man.
Well, I think that Sabean did a fantastic job because where is this? Somebody in the chat just posted something here. Okay, Rick said 10 years ago now, since the Giants ring, they screwed themselves. They could have been a destination team. Now no studs want to go there. This team, going back to my childhood, this has never been a team where players ever wanted to go to the Bay. That I can remember, they were just running for the ballpark like gangbusters. No, they built from within, and then Sabean made deals at trade deadlines. That's how they won all 3 World Series, isn't it?
Yes, he made deals.
This was not a destination team. It wasn't. It isn't, and I can't see it being for a while.
If you're going to try to build it like Sabean, you're talking years because he did it through the farm, and he added pieces, traded. He was awesome in trading. I mean, look at the trades that he made. He made trades for freaking Pence and Scutero, and wasn't it a trade for Javi Lopez and Jeremy Affeldt? I think those were trades. I mean, it's just.
Yep, he really knew at the trade deadline how to put the bow on the gift.
Look what he did in '97. He added Kent, JT Snow.
Huge.
I mean, he built a team, and then they won for 8 straight years without a losing record. They had a downturn, but during the downturn, he was drafting Lincecum and Mad Bum and Posey,
Pablo,
and Belt and all those guys. So these guys were coming on board. Now, Lou, you know Larry Baer. You've been around him. This guy, in my opinion, is a I don't know what kind of word to call him. I look at Brian Sabean as a, like to use an analogy, like a military general.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And I look at
let me see if I can find it.
Larry Baer as, the dweeb guy that's carrying the clipboard that says, hey, everybody check in. Larry Baer is single-handedly helped destroy this franchise, in my opinion, because, you don't hear this stuff on Giants talk. Everything's Larry. Oh, hey, Larry Baer. You know what? I don't have any skin in the game, so I just tell you like it is. I think, and I wasn't on the inside, but knowing how Sabes was let go, basically, and how he left kind of bitter, I think Baer was jealous that Sabes was the guy getting the credit.
Yeah, I agree with that, Dan. I mean, a lot of people don't realize where was Larry Baer when he got hired? He had actually been fired from the New York Yankees. The Giants needed somebody, and they thought, oh, this guy worked for the Yankees. He must be qualified. And then to tell you the truth, he's one of these guys that, when you're in high school, you always have that one friend, but you can't get rid of him. And ever since he got caught with the affair, he's been a disaster with the Giants. And I think you bring up a great point. Larry Baer says it's because of him. Nobody else. The Giants are still here. They didn't move to Tampa Bay. The Giants won the World Championships because of him. I don't really give a shit about Alex and Susan because they're on the Giants payroll, and they always say, Bochy, why is Bochy getting the credit? It should be Larry Baer. Whenever you hear about the trades, it always says it was Larry Baer's final thumbs up that the trade went through. So I think you bring up a great point. He's been a disaster. He doesn't really care about the fans anymore, and it's all about, it's not even about the ballpark anymore. It's always about the real estate. And I think it's come to a point where, Glenn brought up a point. It was never a point of destination. Everybody in the major league criticized the stick. I love the stick because it was our stick. But until Hum Baby came in here and he says, guys, let's use Candlestick to our advantage. If we know nobody wants to come here, let the visiting team really suffer, and they really turned around Candlestick, back in the late 80s when Hum Baby was here, where we made an advantage, but I think you bring up a good point. Every time the Giants have been winning from the 60s, it was always homegrown players. It's like we got Willie Mays, homegrown, McCovey, homegrown, Cepeda, homegrown, Marichal. We've never really gone out. We've tried to make good trades, but a lot of our trades that we tried, at least we went for it. Bill Matlock, who was one of the greatest hitters of the 70s, was a disaster of a Giant. We traded him for Rennie Stennett, who was another bum, but at least they took chances. Nowadays, the last 10 years, you bring up a good point, 10, 12, and 14, we would not have gotten the World Series ring without our trades. And you got to remember, most of those trades weren't at the trade deadline. It was the after the fact that had to go through waivers.
Waiver wires.
These guys up. The waiver wires. So at least we took a chance. That's not there anymore. But, that's what really brought us over the hump. But, nowadays, if you look, the Giants still talk, oh, well, we had the 3 trophies. Guys, that was a decade ago. I just want a winning season. We're back like in the early 80s where all we want to be is 500, and I know Glenn's on this WNBA thing. Talk to me in 2 years when the team doesn't fold. But the thing is, when the Warriors went,
they just expanded. They added 2 new teams today, by the way. This league's growing, man.
Yeah,
you can't argue. Whoa, you can't argue that they sold out the season in 6 hours.
Well, I don't think they sold out. I was told they had 12,800 season tickets. First of all, I remember when the WNBA was in Sacramento.
Yeah.
And second of all, except for Caitlin Clark, can you name me two other players that play in the league? Sue Bird, who's what, 60? She's
Sue Bird doesn't play in the WNBA.
Yeah, she's still playing. She's 68 years old.
Bird's an analyst for ESPN.
You know, so the WNBA is about as bright as this new All-Star weekend. A disaster. You know, it was good for the local community, but nobody watches it. And it's just like, what is it? Unrivaled, what idiot decided to do a WNBA 3-on-3 league? Unrivaled on Tuesday nights, TNT, because they have no other NBA. That's a disaster. They're getting 0.01. They're losing money. So, but I think you bring up a good point where they do have competition. People don't realize when the Warriors moved to San Francisco and they moved 1.5 miles away, that took money away from Giant season ticket holders, right? You got to remember there is an overlap where a couple times during the year you have Sharks going on, you have Warriors going on, and you have Giants. And being a season ticket holder where it's gotten so expensive, there are some people like myself where you have 3 sets of tickets and you can only be in one place. So you're going to have to go whatever treats you the best, you know, and it's just come to a point now where the Giants have sort of forgotten about the fans, you know, like this year, I told Dan he was very excited with my tickets since they went up so much. When I scan, I get a free beer voucher. What the hell does that mean? I get a free beer. I'm paying almost $80,000 a year, and the best you can do is give me a free beer when I come.
That's horrible.
And I don't even get 25% off. I get 20% off for being a season ticket holder. And the other thing is they don't even have the people that go to the seats anymore to take your order. It's now all web van. You know, it's just gotten cheap, and they're forgetting. The Giants got to remember this. There's so much competition for the dollar. You know, South the market's not like it used to be. It's, you know, there's a lot of empty places. You know, the Giants are trying to think of whatever they do, they can bring the fans back. But how about this? Don't, you know, give me a good product and people are going to come. But when you're mediocre and you have a place to decide, should I go with a family of 4 and spend $500? Or should I go to the WNBA and maybe spend $300, you know, for the same amount? Or should I just stay home? You know, and, you know, when you live in San Francisco, people forget. I was with my boss tonight and he goes, how in the hell do people afford to live in San Francisco? It's not like the rates went down because of COVID. Nope. It's still expensive to live in the city. Yep. Everything's expensive. You know, I would go to gas. It's, you know, $5.90. You know, there's places by me where they don't even still take cash because of COVID. It's like, what is wrong with it? When was, you know, it used to be cash is king.
I can't spend cash at Oracle.
You know, at Oracle, where the Giants are, they can't. They don't take cash anywhere. You can't even tip cash. Everything's got to be with, you know, card through the phone. So I'm just thinking they're making it complicated. The other thing, too, and then I'll let you guys talk, is all the real money has died. So you got to really develop who you're after with this new generation. You know, they're the same idiots that think LeBron's the greatest. Yeah, thanks for showing up tonight and playing in the All-Star game. Oh, sorry about that. Telling everyone 2 hours before the game. The new generation is young. They're more tech savvy. They'd rather play video games than seeing a game live. Or why should I go anywhere? I can see it on my phone. You know, that's that generation that the Giants are sort of forgetting about. You know, and whoever can go and get that generation and that Gen X, they're the ones that are going to be successful because the Giants have sort of forgotten about that. You know, there's no more 4-1-5 nothing.
Hey, Dan, before you get to that real quick.
Yeah.
Look at this. Courtesy of senior softball games, right? This was taken 2016 Game 4 NLDS. This is the one where they couldn't get that damn last out, right?
Right.
But look at the contemplation on this man. Tell me, would you have ever seen Farhan do this out there looking on the field?
You never saw Farhan anywhere.
You could see the man just sitting there thinking. And to lose point, you know, talking about building a team built for your park, right? Sabian knew what would play in Oracle Park, what wouldn't play in Oracle Park, and he got it done. And the problem is, yes, can the Giants get back to that? Yeah, the Giants could get back to that, absolutely. But the problem is, we're so far behind. We're so far behind. We're thinking we're in first place. It's going to take years for us to get to that level of where Brian Sabian was putting teams together. All right, go for it.
And you know what, Lou? I think you're wrong when it comes to the future of the WNBA is upon us. The future. And you know why the San Francisco Giants should be worried? And again, numbers won't lie. When everybody's down the street at the Chase watching women's basketball, but there's 13,000 over at Oracle for a ball game Monday and a Tuesday night, which isn't far off what I've been seeing the last few Monday and Tuesday nights in the past few years. It's been pretty dead over there, pretty quiet. I think the big difference, and it serves itself on a platter, the ownership. Joe Lake, he owns that franchise. And he's going to treat the fans right. He's going to build a winning team. It's the ownership. The ownership of the San Francisco Giants, in my opinion,
it's all about entertainment, Glenn. I saw a thing a couple years ago on the owner that took over the Savannah Bananas, and you look what he did. It's kooky, nutty baseball, right? But it's entertainment, and people sell out to everybody's place they go.
That's what it's going to be.
It's entertainment. Now, I happen to hate the WNBA, but I also happen to.
Have you watched it, though? When was the last time Lou says name two players? If you don't watch it, how can you name two? Name two players, Dan.
Caitlin Clark and the girl that was supposed to be the rookie of the year with her. I can't remember her name. Whatever her name was.
So out of like 700 players, you can name one.
She throws bricks. I don't know. She bricks them against the backboard, and the backboard shakes. And their big.
You're thinking of Reese, who gets her own rebounds.
Yeah, Reese. Yeah. Okay.
And Glenn, here's my thing. Go ahead.
Let me finish this real quick. I'll say this. I think Glenn might be right though about the WNBA because it's new.
Yes.
I mean, it's new in the sense it's new to San Francisco. But because of what's happening with Caitlin Clark, a guy, Jason Whitlock, I don't know if you follow him much on Twitter, but he used to be a reporter with Fox or ESPN. Anyway, he is a pretty opinionated guy, and I don't think he's a big WNBA fan, but he believes that it's going to overtake the NBA someday.
Wow.
In the next 5 years, he thinks the NBA is on its way down, and that the WNBA, and I don't know, I don't watch enough of it. I mean, I can do the same thing at home, jump 2 inches. So I'm not really looking for guys that can play above the rim.
Yeah, on the opposite, 80% of the players play below the rim, and I love that.
Yeah, see,
much faster, more passing, more shooting. I love that more. I'm not a big NBA fan, but I'm out of my season tickets for the Giants this year, and I already paid. We've got a pair of season tickets for the WNBA, and it's because that's where I have allotted my entertainment dollar for this summer. I'm over there. Now, it doesn't matter whether we're talking about the WNBA or if you love going to the movies, guys. You want to go to the movies, the theater, and buy your popcorn and a soda and spend like $40 on that every night because there's your entertainment dollar. You go out, you're spending more on the side, not just a ticket. So whatever you do, your entertainment dollar, I'm saying I don't have to go to Giants baseball. I don't have to go. It's not like they go, well, if you want to be entertained, you got to come here. I can do whatever the fuck I want with my money. I don't have to go if you're not going to build a team that entertains me. What is Eric and I? Well, Eric and I, our theme of our show is, are you entertained? Well, I'm not always entertained by the product at Oracle Park.
Well, here's the point. I think Lou was making that same point that if the Giants don't get serious about going out there and putting out players that are going to entertain, right, and compete, again, because winning puts butts in seats, period. Here's the problem. The WNBA, and I think Lou hit it, it's the new thing. And what's the biggest thing that people love to do? They love to go, what is the biggest thing? And we talk about this. A lot of Giants fans, they go to Oracle Park because of what? Because of the damn ballpark, right? Well, I guarantee you there's going to be a lot of those fans who don't want to go to the ballpark because it's kind of maybe lost its luster, so to speak, and they're going to go watch the WNBA. Not necessarily because they want to watch it, but it's the thing to do. It's a place to go take your pictures, right? It's you're using your money. And I think Lou talked about this, about talking about, the almighty dollar. If you're not attracting people to your product, something else is going to come and take its spot. And the Giants got to be careful. 100%.
That's what I said earlier. You don't just say, if I build it, they'll come. You've got to compete for everybody's entertainment dollar. And I can speak 100%. Of like Lou said, if you got off the airplane tomorrow, anybody in the audience in our chat, if you just decided, hey, I'd like to go live in the Bay Area, you better have two good jobs, because you'll be living on a park bench and trying to suit up and go to work and try to build up a future, because it has got to be, what would you say, Lou? It's got to be number one or top two most expensive cities in the U.S. and one of the it's the most expensive city I've ever lived in.
Yeah, no, I mean, Northern California, I mean, you got to remember, I saw a thing about a month ago. Menlo Atherton is more expensive than Manhattan now. Menlo Atherton, crazy. The average home is like $12.8 million.
That's
then you go
like, right?
Atherton. Yeah, you go Menlo Atherton, you go Palo Alto, you go Menlo Park. I mean, people forget there's more venture capitalists in Menlo Park than anywhere in the United States. There's a company that my ex-wife used to work for called KKR. They are in the Guinness Book of World Records. Their property that they bought 25 years ago was $830 a square inch, not a square foot, a square inch. It's still the most expensive property in the U.S., but they're venture capitalists. That money to them is nothing. But, I just think it brings up a good point where, I'm hoping the WNBA works, but I'm just worried about one thing with the WNBA. It's something new, and like the Bay Area, everyone gets excited about something new, but they're also very spoiled from the Warriors being champions, right? How are they going to do it with a brand new expansion team where they're not going to be that good this year? It'll be fun to watch, but they're not going to be winners. Imagine it's going to be the same thing with the Warriors in 3 years when Curry's not there. Chase isn't going to be sold out. The place is going to be half full. And then you're going to be saying, well, why should I spend $1,000 in seeing someone without a superstar? And that's the biggest problem I think the WNBA has, is they're going against the Golden State Warriors, where the level of interest is so high. Yeah, we have the women's version, but it's not going to be the same. The other thing too is I'm a huge college fan. I do follow college women's basketball. Like today, I saw Connecticut destroy South Carolina again. I loved it because South Carolina's gotten too big. I do follow my Arizona Wildcats women. I'm very upset because they're just average. It's like Stanford right now. Stanford dominated the Bay Area. They were they were more successful than the Giants over the last 20 years. You had the best coach for basketball. She had the best winning program. She's now gone. They're below 500. They don't even have 25 people in the stands for Stanford women basketball. It's because the level is so high. How are they going to be in 2 years? Because if they're not winning, just like the Giants, when the Giants are winning, everyone jumps on the bandwagon. When it's a new concept, they want to be in it. And I hope the WNBA, because in the long run, if they're successful, I'm probably going to get more business of people attracting that want to go. The biggest problem with the Giants now is they've run out of excuses. Oh, well, the A's were good and they took them. No, the A's are in Sacramento. They're going to be in Vegas. The Giants right now have no competition. That's why I'm a little upset they're not taking steps forward. Instead, we're happy where we're at, and I think the only thing about the Giants this year that they really got lucky is they have the Dodgers on the weekends. They have Boston. They have the Mets, who are probably the three biggest draws, are all on weekends. They're not like, but imagine Kansas City, who, has a superstar and they got a good pitcher on a Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. They'll be lucky to get 15,000. They probably want to get, and I'm being generous.
I think like the organization, they're already off on the proper footing, though. The only thing I thought they should have done was there was a player in Los Angeles, Lee Yarou, who went to Seattle. That was all part of the Kelsey Plum deal, getting her from Las Vegas Aces. But what did they do? They got an instant star. They got Kate Money Martin right out of the gate, year one. So even though they're not going to do well, they've got a face of the franchise year one. But regardless, that's not my
Glenn,
thing.
I'm not going to.
My thing is, I love women's basketball. People don't have to like it. I'm just saying that don't rest on your laurels, Giants, and expect that people just have to spend their money, when there's other things to do. I'm entertained by women's basketball, so guess where I'll be? Lou, you'll be sitting down below, and I'll be down. And that's another thing Eric brought up, too, is whether it's the movies or going over to Chase Center in the summer, it's a lot more comfortable than sitting in a cold ballpark on a Monday or Tuesday night, isn't it?
I agree. And Glenn, I want to say two things, and then I'll let you guys talk. First of all, my nephew works for the LA Sparks. So if you ever need help down in LA, he gladly helps you. And I ride pines with him a lot. He works with the LA Sparks. So the other thing is, it's about time you start coming around, because that's a good looking hat. Because after we beat the shit out of you guys in hockey, I don't want you to wear that Canada is #1 anymore in hockey, because you saw how great was that for an exhibition game last night. That was the best hockey I've seen. 3-1.
We won 3-1. And I don't know about the fights, but we won the game.
Yeah, USA won.
3-1. We won
Canada.
3-1. No, USA. Yeah, why does everybody think that I'm just this big Canadian? Holy!
I thought you were Canadian. You talk like
I'm an American. It was born in Canada.
Hey. Listen, unless you bowl your 5 pins in Canada bowling, and when you come out here in the USA and you start going 10 pins with a big ball in bowling, then I'll believe you. Oh yeah, that's right. I've been to Vancouver before with 5 pins. I'm glad, Glenn. I'm glad you're on the right side. Go USA. Thanks.
USA hockey.
Oh, I know what Dan's queuing up. I could see him working. I know exactly what Dan is queuing up.
A few of my buddies played in the U.S. Olympic hockey program. So I got lots of USA hockey gear. I got some Olympic jackets and tracksuits.
Yeah, that's a good looking lid.
I like this one.
That's a great looking lid, but I love the old 70s one that Dan's wearing. That's a good looking lid, Dan.
Yeah, with the Giants? Yeah.
That reminds me of the great Ed Halicki.
Ed Halicki.
Holy cow.
There's 6'7". He was the original 6'7" guy.
Yep.
You know what? No, I remember all these players. You know what? Growing up, I remember all these players, Dan, and I consider for my age, the 70s, the 80s, I got a pretty solid knowledge of baseball, all teams. It's because I was so addicted to my baseball cards. I read the back of them, and I knew birthdays and stats. And if you throw out a ball player's name, I can go, oh yeah, his stance in his 1978 Topps card. He's in the batting circle with the bat up. And that's how I remember some of these names you guys throw out. I remember the night you threw out Biff Pacaroba. I'm like, oh my God. I had my Atlanta Braves Pacaroba cards when I was a kid.
I was a big Ken Reitz fan.
I love
Ken
that.
Reitz.
I love
Ken
that.
Reitz. There you go.
That third. And Dan, I went to U of A. Bear down. Good to see you. Sorry, somebody.
Were you over? Did you go to Chase Center tonight yourself?
No, my boss did. He had a pre-party thing, and then his wife hasn't been to the city before, so ScoMa's is sort of a hidden gem. Because they have free valet parking, and then they get crab number 2. They have a contract. So, when the boss is in town, he's paying. Of course, I started right off. Can I get a couple crab cocktails? They're like $37 each, but the crab is so fresh. And then I got the sole. And then, of course, he goes, what should we do for dessert? And I said, let's go to Ghirardelli Square and get the world famous sundae. And then, because of the COVID bullshit, they now do not have the peanut butter sundae anymore because it has nuts and people are allergic. So I walked in and I told the person, get rid of all these fucking tourists. I want my banana sundae. So they had to come up with something else because they heard me complain. So
yeah, but I thought you like ice cream. You can get whatever you want on your ice cream, right, Dan?
I know, but the peanut butter sundae was legendary there. So I wind up getting the cookie crumble sundae.
I have something for the Canadian fans out there, the people who were born in Canada. This is the little hockey, little AI here, but it's kind of fun.
It's funny.
Here we go.
There are some alterations.
Little AI.
Mike, I'm just curious what you thought the 3 fights off the opening couple of face-offs did in terms of setting the tone and message for your team.
Look, President Trump called us in the locker room before the game He said he'd be watching from the White House and that he wanted to see us feed those dirty Canucks some knuckle sandwiches before he feeds them some terror.
Hey, are we going to be all right with this music in the background?
I think you'd be okay. I think you'd be okay.
Little Village People. It's Trump's favorite.
Whatever. All right, here we go.
Next month. That fired us up, and we knew it was our fucking duty to drop the gloves. Those goddamn Patriot Kachuk brothers answered the call. JT Miller jumped in the mix, too. We dusted those moose-humping Eskimo bastards in all 3 fights, and then we turned around and proceeded to curb stomp them 3-1 in the actual game. You know, hockey was the one thing Canada used to have on us. But after that beatdown tonight, they might as well become the 51st state. And anyway, see you guys in the...
Mike, I'm just curious what
Oh, man. People have fun with freaking... with altering that stuff, man. Funny stuff.
Yeah.
It's not
That was pretty funny.
Former San Diego Gull. Like down south.
Moose humpers.
That was a wild start to the game. Did you watch that game last night, Lou?
1.3 seconds into it. And then the second fight was 2.7 seconds later.
What was that all
cleared
about?
everybody out. It was unbelievable.
That was awesome.
But what was that about? Why did they drop the gloves right off the rip? Was there a story behind that?
And they all knew about it. Like, you know, you
That was all it was staged, Eric.
Oh, fair. Okay.
Yeah.
Just okay. So it was WWE.
And I like what I see from Team Canada's got a better lineup, but you know what Canada's doing? They keep going to the well with it. Like Sidney Crosby, not the player he used to be.
Yeah,
he isn't. He's not
ago.
the player he used to be. But you know what? Well, we're putting an international team. Got to have Sid the Kid. It's sacrilege. You can't have a team without Sid the Kid. Well, there are better players could be on the team. USA, who's their goalie? Eric, he doesn't know his name, but he goes, holy shit, I heard he's good. Connor Hellebuck. Connor Hellebuck he's the best goalie in the tournament. USA, they got players on that team who are what you would call fringe players, but they're good fringe players. Fringe players from around the NHL.
Right.
And it sort of leaks over to the Giants, doesn't it? Oh, we got to have Yaz has been around here for so long.
Mark is saying that.
Can't cut bait from Yaz.
Canada's like the Giants.
Yep, there you go. There you go.
Real quick, before we get the hell out of here.
I've had a lot of fun tonight. Hey, you guys like doing that? I love this Sunday night show.
This is freaking awesome. No. I'm just saying, before we forget, what is the grade that we give the club for the offseason? We kind of already talked a little bit about what the
hey, can you put me up there on a solo real quick, Eric?
Oh, here we go. Yeah. Here we go. Whoa, what? What the heck's going on here? Not me. Here, let's get me out of here. The hell? I'll figure it out.
E+ for me. D+.
How the heck do you get you up there, man? There we go. Center stage.
Hi, Cryptic. How are you? How the heck are you? I know you only wanted to see my face a little bit more. Is that stupid enough for you?
Oh, my.
Have a great night, buddy.
Oh man.
Eric and I are going to surprise. We're going to have a show coming up between now and the start of the season where Eric and I are going to take the persona of some of our chat members. I'm going to come in and be Mr. Happy-Go-Lucky. I'm going to be Robert Rothberg, my first show. Yeah, we really suck, but we're going to win 104 games this year. The pitching's not older. We're not older, but we're better.
We tried to do that last year, Dan. And
we tried to
tough.
Mr. Positive. We tried to Mr. Positive.
You did. I don't know how the guys in the chat live with themselves. Because they don't live with themselves. They don't live in reality.
But what do we give a grade? Man. I mean, honestly, I said that they're at a C-. I mean, Dan, what do you think?
I would say right about
because we didn't even talk about getting rid of Tyler or Taylor Rogers.
Yeah,
and got nothing in return other than just more money.
I would say C-, D. I mean, they came in with kind of higher expectations. You know, you not only didn't sign Burns, you let Snell go to the Dodgers. and
you let Corbin Burns go to the Diamondbacks.
Right. And then you just basically had a chance to get some other players. And I understand it's just a mixed message. I don't like the message like, we're going to be in the playoffs. Matt Chapman, we're going to be signing guys. I've talked to guys and Buster at the end of the year. We're going places. We're not sitting on, down. We're not going to be, this is going to be a different team. And then you go out and do virtually nothing. Now, I get it. You didn't go out and get some of the guys that you're going to be high-priced guys that, Santander or Teoscar Hernandez or whoever these guys out there possibly were. You're going to go with the younger guys. Okay, then just say it. Just say, hey, look, we don't anticipate doing very much at all. We're looking to fill the shortstop position, maybe some spots in the pitching, but we're really going to go with our young guys. That is the plan. Well, it feels like the plan is, whatever fell in our laps, whatever we could actually get. It feels like a guy who's making statements just like Farhan. Well, I really can't go out and say we're going to be super aggressive because we're not going to go spend the money. They won't give me, they're not giving me carte blanche to say, go do what you want.
Right.
So I think it comes back down to Posey could turn out to be really fit for the job and he could be the right guy, but we may never know because they're never going to.
They don't give him the tools.
They're not going to unleash the purse strings for him. They might one year, but then the next year they're going to bring it back down.
Mm-hmm.
They don't want to be a repeat luxury tax offender. And the good teams that want to win, they don't care. Consider that. They don't care. Yeah. And the Giants shouldn't care either because they're the 5th largest team in the baseball with revenue.
Yes.
So what are you worried about? Like, Giants, if you actually go over and you build a winning team, you'll make up that revenue in people coming to the ballpark, people buying jerseys, people buying beers, people buying merchandise, and there'll just be excitement. And that's how you make your money. Okay. You don't, the Giants look at like, oh, well, look at our attendance was up. Yeah. Well, you gave away your tickets. Like,
yeah, they were cheap.
You had to give away 2-for-1s. How many times last year? How many times did you put them on for $5.01?
Oh, wanted to ask Lou about that. Lou, now as a season ticket holder, how do you feel when you see somebody sitting in the ballpark, run into them, an old friend of yours, and they're like, yeah, I'm here every night, Lou, for $5 and a penny. And you're like, that's not what I pay. That's not what I pay.
In my section, 18 rows behind me, the Giants try to say it's not for all tickets. It's for only 300 level, or it's only bleachers. They're 18 rows behind me during the week. You could get tickets 2-for-1. So I think the biggest problem, and I'm going to bring this a grade that one of my grades that people don't think about. Why in the hell was it that 3 years ago the Giants were willing to spend $600 million on Judge?
Right.
2 years ago they were willing to spend $750 on Ohtani, where they could have got 4 fucking studs this year for half the price, and you didn't do it. Then that meant you guys were lying the whole time about Ohtani, and you were lying about Judge, because Ohtani's one player. You could have got 2 aces, 2 studs, and we'd have a complete team and maybe the playoffs for half the money, and you started sitting on your thumbs and didn't do shit. And that's the biggest problem that I get pissed off about, because people forget, oh my God, Farhan said we had the exact same contract and deferred money. Giants didn't even know what fucking deferred means. The Dodgers were the ones who do it. The only thing the Giants did was opt out. They were the ones that started the opt out. And that's what ticks me off. And it's one of those things where, now when you think about it, God, you're right, Lou. We were going to spend $700 million, but we wouldn't spend an extra $100 million to get 2 aces. And as Dan said, in the ballpark, you need 4 studs. That's the other thing. It's like our fans. We're so in love with Webb. Guys, Webb is not an ace. When you guys keep thinking he's an ace, the Giants fans are living in a fucking dream world. Webb is a good player, but with our team we have right now, he needs to act like an ace, but he's not an ace. And that's why we're always behind the 8 ball. We got Ray. We got Tommy John. He comes back 3 games, he's out. Now he's coming back from another thing. We got a center fielder coming off an injury for the second time. As me and Dan talk about, there's so many question marks. Oh. Not only are question marks about our management, our owners, it's about the team that we have to look forward to. Nobody's excited about opening day right now. Now more people are concerned about the NFL draft and the Niners than the Giants. And that's what's sad, because this town, San Francisco, is a baseball town. So I'll give it a C because I'm nice. There you go. And I'm going on a curve.
What about you, Glenn? What's your grade for the club?
I gave it a D+.
You say D+. So
we got C-.
Go for it. And a reason?
I just gave it a D+ because at least they filled a much needed position. That short. I mean, you had Crawford in there for over a decade, and you didn't have to worry about it. Well, all of a sudden now they put themselves in a position where they don't have to worry, hopefully, about shortstop for a few years. All right, they filled a need, but after that, I mean, like I said, how did I put it earlier in the show, Dan? If you blindfolded me, put me in the soundproof booth and took me out 2 years later, I would still think that Farhan Zaidi was running this show, because we continue to go dumpster diving and bringing in players who are just past their prime too. So don't bullshit us. That's another thing. The Oakland A's played money ball for what? 20 years. 20 years. They didn't lie to anybody. Their fans knew what they lived within the constraints of their financial abilities. Mm-hmm. We don't live within the financial constraints of our abilities because we're not spending the money.
It's a good point.
It's just the opposite. There's no excuses. And again, lie after lie after lie. Don't tell us we're going in heavy. We're going in heavy. Well, you're not going in heavy. You didn't make any moves. We're going in. Oh, we're going to make some trades. You don't make any trades. And then to say, we really like our young pitching. And you bring in a 42-year-old player where people were laughing at me saying, let's take a flyer on a 35-year-old pitcher who now looks like a fucking teenager. And you're bringing in Verlander, and to lose point, you're bringing in a player who was hurt. And then and with our fan base, when he gets hurt this year, it's like, well, he was just coming off the injury. Next year, he'll be back. There's always freaking excuses, man. It's killing me. It's killing me. Any topic, it just goes off the rails and it kills me. It's a non-winning product.
You got a point there, because that's something that's been notorious with Farhan, always signing specifically pitchers who are coming off injury. That's their MO. And maybe it wasn't just a Farhan thing. Maybe it's just, hey, they want to try to get it on the cheap. And
no doubt about it. I always called it dumpster diving.
That's what it is.
And for a blue chip on the, hey, we think we can. They're trying to resurrect players.
Right. Yep. Instead of, exactly.
And not to harp on to what I said earlier at the start of the show as well, but if you're trying to build this organization's future, stop putting, plugs in the dam.
And here's a point. Dan, you talked about it when you were giving your grade. And did you read Dave Tobner's article in SF Gate?
I did see a little bit the other day. Yes.
Talks about the Giants live in the mushy middle. They live in the mushy middle. They don't want to commit. They don't want to commit, whether it's going with the youth full on, or, hey, let's spend a little bit of money. Look, and it doesn't mean that you go out there and spend like the Dodgers. I'm not saying that you have to do that. I mean, they could. They have the wherewithal to do that, but they could have just made a few. Look, if they were able to get Willie Adames, and then say you were able to get Corbin Burns and then traded for another bat, that's an A, man. That's an A offseason. And it didn't seem that was out of that realm of possibility. It seemed very gettable, doable, whatever you want to call it. I mean, and why they weren't able to do that is just.
Hey, let me ask you guys a question. What do you guys think Logan Webb, we're talking about Webb a little bit. What do you think the Giants' overall record was last year in his 33 starts?
Oh.
I can't answer because I know.
Gosh, I can't remember. I remember we looked at his numbers the other day.
There it is, right there. It is right there.
There it is. He was 15-8. That's right. And how many of them were like 1-1 games or something like that? It was like incredible, right?
So the team, he's their ace, and they're under 500 when he starts. So what does that tell you? I mean, Paul Skeens was 11-3 last year himself. Chris Sale was 18-3. They don't get run support.
They don't.
And if he gives up a few runs, they lose.
Yeah.
And how much pressure are you putting on him? He's got to go out there and be perfect. Just go out there and do your thing, and don't worry about the weight. But because if your team isn't backing you up, now you're just putting more of that pressure on your shoulders. It's like, I just can't make a mistake.
Yeah. And
I think the difference in an ace pitcher, a stud pitcher, is for the most part, he's going to go out there 5-6 dominant innings. I never know. And I got to see him play in person a lot, not only at home, but we went to quite a few road trips last year where he started. You never knew what you were getting from him either. It was like a box of Cracker Jacks, man. Some games you give up 6 runs in 2 innings, and then next game, he goes 7 solid, give up a couple of hits. I'd be happy. I'm not so worried about getting runs this year. I just want to see the team get more hits than 2 and 3 a game.
Yes.
Let's start. Let's start there. Let's build something.
Did you guys see the stat? There was a stat that it was kind of weird. It was Tony Gwynn had only 45. Let me see if I can find it. It was.
I know you're talking about how many strikeouts he had or something.
Strikeouts in his last 10 years.
In his whole career, I think it was his whole career.
That was his whole career.
Here it is.
Ridiculous.
Here it is. I'm going to pull this up, and this is. I bring this up to make a point. All right. Tony Gwynn produced more 4-hit games, 45, than multi-strikeout games, 35.
That's nuts, right?
Wow.
Is that in his career or 4-hit games? 4-hit game, not multi-hit.
He's had more 4-hit
games. And he only had
in one game.
He only struck out
35. He struck out twice in 35 games in his whole career.
Yes. And look what I put here, Matt. I wasn't even, I just go, I bet there's got to be a guy that strikes out more than 35 games in a single season. So I says, well, what the hell of it? I'll just look up Matt Chapman. He struck out 45 times. He had multiple K games, and 10 of them he struck out 3 times. Is that incredible?
Wow.
In one season. And that wasn't even his worst season.
It's funny you showed that video, Dan. You showed the video of a little Gwynn action there. Did you see who was on the
look how skinny he looks then.
Oh, Randy Johnson,
Randy.
yeah.
So look at back when I was younger. Look over the years, Dan, and just throw out a couple of players I liked. Randy Johnson. He was a stud, man. He was a stud.
Absolutely.
Mark Langston was a stud when he was young with the Seattle Mariners. Guess what? There's just a couple off the top of my head. Guess what? Teams were willing to trade them.
Randy was drafted by Montreal.
Yeah, what's with the love affair?
Expos were.
What's with the love affair in our oh my God. Can you imagine I would be tickled pink if they traded Webb. Because we couldn't get any worse. But the fan base would probably lose their freaking mind.
But you know what? You got to look. You got to look at it in again. I use this a lot. Don't look at it in a vacuum, because where are the Giants? At this point in time, are the Giants a complete team? You see what I'm saying? If you trade Webb and you get pieces back, is it going to be that detrimental if you held on to him? No. At this particular
are we going to be better with him or without him?
Right. Exactly. That's where the Giants are right now, and that's what you got to look at. If the Giants are on the verge of doing something, okay, yeah, you keep him because he's going to do something for you.
Right.
But if it all goes to waste, then
exactly,
what
they need to rebuild and they have to start with the pieces that will actually help you with the rebuild. You're not going to get anything for these other younger guys that don't have value. Luciano's value has been diminished. Matos values down low. So you're not going to get really top end players. But and I'm not a guy that says just trade Webb to trade him.
Just to trade right.
It's a point of, look, what is the plan? Because I think the Giants are probably 3 years away minimum from really having a competitive, consistent team. I think it's probably, you got the 25 season, the 26 season, maybe the 27 season, more likely the 28 when Eldridge is up and some of these other guys might start to produce. And then at that point, Webb's in his 30s and he's at the end of his contract. And who knows if his arm's still doing what it's doing today. So I think that if you got something for him, then you build that up and you start young, and everybody, like the Sharks are doing. The Sharks are all coming up young together. And in 3 to 4 years, the Sharks are going to be competing for cups on a regular basis.
Toby in the chat says 200 plus inning, and somehow Giant fans are still, somehow complain. Well, as you brought up that interesting stat, don't matter how many innings, if you don't contribute to a winning organization, then and further, one more thing, Dan, Eric, Lou, talk about. I've wanted them to pretty much not gut it, not tear it down to the brass tacks, but rebuild this team. Because they talk about how poor our minor league system is. We had enough good guys like Luis Matos, Ramos, who didn't even get a cut right out of camp last year to make the team. So there are players to build the nucleus of a young team. Now you tell me our pitching staff in 3 or 4 years, let's say we do get better 3 or 4 years from now. Who in the pitching? None of them are going to be there.
Well,
maybe no Robbie Ray or Verlander, maybe not a Webb. We're not going to have a pitching staff. So what are they building? I ask you, what are they building?
I wouldn't be surprised if they go after another pitcher in the draft this year, because they're going to need. Right now, Wisenhunt's kind of a question mark. We don't know what he's going to do. We hope for him, right?
You can't say they're building for the future when in 3 years none of these pitchers are going to be in the lineup.
Right. Good point.
Yeah.
Hey, Eric.
Maybe Harrison and Birdsong and Root.
Eric, have you seen what the Angels have done the last 2 years on the draft?
Oh, no, to be honest with you, no. Pretty good.
They've only drafted pitchers, nothing else.
Wow.
Because they realize that's their downfall. You
can
always pay for players on the offensive side, but pitching is too expensive. You got to get them young, and you got to go through it. They were the first team ever 2 years ago where every single draft pick was just a pitcher.
Yep.
And, because they're trying to figure it out. And this is the other problem with the Giants is you don't know what works for a pitcher. High school, college player, the free agency. It's tough out there. The problem with the Giants is, but it worked 10 years ago and it worked 20 years ago. They constantly, it's almost like you get 3 wishes from the genie, in the magic bottle. The first wish is, hey, we love the Giants to win a title. And then we loved it so much, we asked for another wish. Can we win 2 more instead of just a second one? He said, yes. Then we were down to our last one. Hey, can we don't want to suffer anymore. Well, sorry. It's like, all I care about the Giants right now is just have a winning second half of the season, be close to 500.
Yeah. I want to address this guy.
The other thing too is just have a team that's enjoyable to watch. As Dan says, when you strike out watching too much, it's not fun to watch. Why should I spend every night watching the Giants be depressed? It's like a relationship,
right?
Enough.
Well, if you're spending that money, like we touched on earlier, I tried to explain, when it's your money, you better be entertained. You better give me an entertaining product, or I'm just not going to go.
I want to address this guy who says Matos's value is not low. All right. It used to be above 30. the surplus over there on the highlighted column.
Last year.
Webb. Yep, last year.
He was 30. I remember that.
62. Eldridge, 61. His keeps climbing. Eldridge.
Yeah, Eldridge.
Harrison and Bailey. Ramos.
Harrison went up. He was at 31. Now he's almost at 34.
Yeah. And then you got Walker, Birdsong. Chapman is down at 10. Duvall, Tibbs, Wisenhunt, Walker Martin.
SOS. Where are these guys? SOS.
Where's Luis Matos, 7.4. His value's less than Walker Martin right now. Less than James Tibbs. And the kid's only 23. That's because of the handling.
The handling. Correct.
So,
I think that's something that we all could come to agreement on, right? I mean, the way that this organization has handled, quote unquote, their young guys has been atrocious. Absolutely atrocious.
Yep. That's exactly right. It means a heck of a lot in the trade market when you have one option left. That's what happened. That's why they got nothing for Joey Bart, because Pittsburgh was like, Giants didn't want him. So it was like, well, we're not going to give you anything for him because we'll just, they picked him up on waivers and they made a deal. Okay, here's your deal. We'll give you, what do you want? 3 peanuts and a soda? I don't know what the Giants are going to do this year, because the same situation is coming right in their face with Luciano, Schmidt, and Matos. They've got to play these guys and give them, close to 500 at bats and let these guys see what they have. If they play well, you not only have 2 options now. If they play really well, you either keep them or you trade them for something you need, because their value goes way up. But if they don't play them, they're getting nothing. Nothing.
Mm-hmm. And here we go. Hey, speaking of that, you see what MLB says? What's the projected lineup in the starting rotation for the Giants? It's not going to be. It's not surprising.
Let me hear this. See this.
There it is.
Jung-Hoo Lee, Willie
Adames, Lamont Wade in the 3, Matt Chapman in the 4, Elliot Ramos in the 5, Mike Yastrzemski instead of Luis Matos batting 6, Fitzgerald 7, Wilmer Flores 8, and Patrick Bailey number 9.
Well, we don't know what we're talking about, Eric. You and I did the show the other night. We have Lamont Wade Jr. batting 8th.
Yeah.
Here's what Eric and I have. We have Lee, Fitzgerald, Adames, Ramos in the hole. The cleanup. Chapman, Flores, Yaz, Wade, Bailey.
I don't like the Yaz. I hate the Yaz. I mean, we said that it's going to be Yaz, but that's what the Giants are going to do. Instead of throwing out Matos, even though you know exactly what you're getting out of Yaz, just throw out Matos. And if you're getting what you got Yaz to back him up.
You're getting a 200 batter for the first 2 months of the year at a Yaz.
I'm almost with this guy.
Garlic fries.
Almost done with this team. Just moving on. I mean, come on. If Yaz is the starting right fielder opening day again,
that's going to be ridiculous.
Come on.
That's
Chapman in the 4th hole.
I don't.
You know what? You can have 2 men on, 2 out I guess you wouldn't have 2 men on. You'd have 1 man on with 1 out. If there's 2 outs, you got maybe 1 guy on. It's going to end right there. If there's 2 outs, and Chapman comes up with, I don't care if the runner's in 2nd or 3rd, likely not going to end well. Chapman does most of his good work when there's not anybody on base generally. That's why his RBI total is low. It's just 4th place spot for Chapman is going to be a disaster.
And that's what we tried to do, Dan, me and Glenn, when we were putting the roster together. We were trying to push Matt Chapman down as far as we could without freaking trying to decimate the rest of it. I mean, it's hard.
What I mentioned, the pitching staff, how it's going to be changed in 2 or 3 years and all these old vets. Bring that lineup again, Eric, up if you can.
That's got 68 wins written all over it. But everything you got on the
now look at that lineup, guys. not only will the pitching staff be, in my opinion, you might have a Harrison or Birdsong stick around, right? But look at all the old vets; they're all gone. In 4 or 5 years, this team, Jung-Hoo Lee will be a free agent. He's going to sign. He ain't sticking around for this mess. Lamont Wade Jr., he'll be a distant memory. Yastrzemski, gone. Fitzgerald, probably gone. Flores, gone. Where is our future? What is our future besides Eldridge?
Good question.
What is it? What is it? Take a look at that lineup and name me. There'll probably be 3 players that'll still be in the organization. And then the pitching staff will be gone. So there's nobody left.
Glenn, don't worry. We'll be in the running for one of the big free agents next year. There's only 2, but we'll be in the running.
I'll be over watching Kate Money Martin throwing up the 3.
Oh, man.
Let's go, Valkyrie! Yeah!
There we go.
Glenn's just doing it to stick it to the Giants. That's what he's doing.
I am. Webb, Ray, Verla. Well, in a way I am, but I can't wait. I can't wait to go to the NBA games, WNBA games.
Okay,
Kresha. It'll be a lot more fun.
Hold on.
Jeez.
Kresha. You said the same thing in 10, 12, and 14. We need pitching and defense, period. Okay, where are you getting this pitching from? Tell me where you're going to get this pitching that was equal to 10, 12, and 14. Because right now it's not there.
Nope.
This is not the pitching staff of 10, 12, and 14.
And our bullpen's worse.
Guys, the clock has struck midnight here, and I got to get over to the radio studio.
Yeah, and I got to run too. I'm going to go head down to Scottsdale tomorrow, and Giants opening full squad camp opening, and meet down there with Los, and we'll watch a little practice. But just
have fun and stay out of trouble.
Yeah, definitely stay out of trouble. If they see me, they might shoot me though. Some of the hope Larry Bear does this. Maybe that'd be good if I see Larry Bear. Just curious. This is what I was, talked about Chapman batting 4th. If he was on the Dodgers, Muncy would be out of the lineup. It would be Ohtani, Betts, Freeman, 1, 2, 3, Hernandez 4, probably Conforto 5, Will Smith 6, Chapman would be 7, Edman 8, Hyesung Kim 9.
That makes sense.
He would be 7th. He would be batting 7th for the Dodgers. But because he's considered, one of the top hitters for the Giants, he's going to bat 4th. I'd almost just bat him leadoff and get it over with.
Well, they batted everybody else leadoff last year. And hey, don't despair, guys. We haven't even mentioned Lou Trevino once tonight.
I'd rather have Lee Trevino, to be honest.
The sky is falling.
I'd rather have Lee Trevino. Oh man, dude,
he's entertaining.
Yeah,
right.
And then, did you guys see the super chat that just came up?
Yeah, look at
Dan.
There's Mark. What's up, Mark? Here, I'll put it up there. There we go.
There it is.
Great show.
Great show. Hey guys, what y'all think about the club's defense? We all watched Webb get victimized by poor fielding. Wes, we did, and poor hitting as well. Is there bright spots? Godspeed to all, by the way. Watch the Daytona 500, not the NBA.
Me too. Oh, Austin Cindric was there for the win. Oh, God.
Way to go, Mark. Thank you, sir. So what do you guys, bright spots? What do you want to talk about? Is there a bright spot? Is there, come on. I'll tell you what I'm excited about to see what Ramos is going to do again. And I'm excited about Jung-Hoo Lee. Willie Adames. Look, there's going to be some excitement about Willie Adames. But again, you got to have the team all playing out of their minds if they want to have any kind of hope of.
I don't even call them bright spots. I don't call them bright spots. No bright spot. It's all
there is no bright spot. People are going to talk about Eldridge more than the major league team. That's what's
Eldridge. The only reason why I didn't say Eldridge is because I think he's going to get his full go next year. I think we'll see him in September. If we see him, let's say this: if we see him before September, shit's going sideways with the club. There's something wrong going on. If we're seeing Bryce Eldridge before September, something has gone wrong.
All right, guys, gotta go. Lou, good job. Cucamonga, good job.
Thanks for joining in.
That Vince is arrived. We did our first show with Vince. Holy crap, man! You got to keep it on the rails.
That was good stuff.
Cucamonga, I love it.
He loves Dan. Vince loves Dan. I heard part of the show.
He was a hoot.
I got
to run.
All right, Glenn. Called you Vince. See you, Glenn. Take care.
Take it easy, Glenn.
Guys. Okay,
all right,
boys.
guys. We should wrap up here myself. I need to run, but let's. We'll be back. Next Sunday night? I guess
next Sunday night. Yep.
Another hot corner. See what we can come up with next week. It would be fun to actually come in here once in a while and have something really positive and exciting to talk about. We'll all have been at Saturday's game, the first game, the 22nd.
That's right. The second.
Yep. They start Thursday, right? Some of the teams.
No,
baseball
Saturday. Game. Saturday's the first game, the 22nd. They start tomorrow, actually. As far as they're all there anyway, but they're it's just drills and some BP, and there's nothing really earth-shattering, and your face until they really start hitting off live pitching.
Mm-hmm.
I don't get impressed with just batting practice. So, but I'll try and get some videos. I'll see if I can get some other stuff. It's going to be difficult because the Giants have made it impossible for YouTubers to do anything with get any media. I thought we had some pretty good stuff 2 years ago where we had some pretty good interviews with people, and players were cool with it. It's just they want to control their guys and get their little whatever their question. They don't get any really tough questions of guys. So, but it'll be fun. We'll see what happens. But yeah, it would be nice next week to actually come in and say, hey man, this is looking good. This guy, Jung-Hoo Lee is tearing the ball. He's really striking the ball well. Fitzgerald, but until the games start, I don't really care what they do in batting practice until live games start in spring training and guys actually are facing pitching and they get enough at bats. I don't care, somebody goes 3 or 4 for 10. I want to see somebody get 50 at bats and get, 15 to 20 hits. Then we're talking.
Loud outs.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Then I want to see something like that. I want to see some consistency. And I hope the Giants only brought in 8 outfielders. I'm hoping they're going to let guys play because they're going to have some double squad games. So there's not a lot of outfielders that, I'm sure they're going to bring in a couple other guys from up in the minors for a game or two here. They always do. It's funny. They have these guys that are non-rosters that are invited, but then you see all these minor leaguers that are like not even an A ball and they're in the game. Like, who's this guy? Who's this guy? Doesn't even have a number.
Number 98.
Yeah, number 98. So, well, what you guys doing? You guys on tomorrow night?
Yeah, we'll go on tomorrow night. What the hell are we going to talk about? I have no idea. We'll figure out something.
Yeah. Oh, we're going to have Ned Coletti. We're going to have Ned Coletti Tuesday night.
Are you? Nice.
Yeah. So we're going to be going on a little later. I don't know if you guys want to go early. We're going to go on at 8:30 because that's his schedule. He can't.
Fair. Okay.
He's teaching at Pepperdine. So
Pepperdine, right?
Out. So
maybe we could get him on one of these hot corners. That'd be freaking awesome.
That'd be fun. That would be fun. Yeah. That would be really fun.
Good times.
Yeah. Well, awesome. We want to head out. Lou, anything happening exciting with?
No. Sorry again, I was late, but no when the boss is paying, I got to get a couple free meals out of the way.
Absolutely.
Hey man,
but I'm excited with baseball coming around. I mean, the NBA All-Star game, it was hard to watch even last night, where a lot of, I just didn't like, I know why they had to do it, but they had the celebrity thing and some stuff in Oakland. Some people didn't know if they had to go to Oakland or Chase. I didn't like the new thing tonight where you got 4 teams that go to 2. How about tell these guys to play defense and do the regular All-Star game? Again, that's the problem with basketball.
Never going to do it.
And I don't mean to be negative with the WNBA, but this team is not going to be good for probably 2 years. and we'll see if Chase is still there. People just, anything new. I mean, I remember when the Sharks had AAA hockey, right? And it was why they were the San Francisco Spiders. I don't know if you remember that, Eric.
I remember the
They
Spiders.
played at the Cow Palace.
IHL.
Opening game was full. I was going by halfway through. They were getting maybe 1,200 people. And, at a place like the Cow Palace, that's empty. And then they were sold the mid-year, and people got to realize they're not going to be like the Warriors. It's a lot slower. It's really hard to watch if you're used to NBA action, and they're not going to be good. So, and they're not cheap. That's the other thing too is, you go to a Stanford game, it might run you $50. The WNBA is pretty expensive if you want to sit down low. So,
right.
We'll see. And it's Glenn's thing. So, I mean, I'm going to give him a little rough thing, but who knows? Maybe they're successful. But as I tell my nephew, he always says, Lou, if I can help you, I go, dude, when I help you, get me a gun. Put me out of my misery because I'm never going to a LA Sparks game, but thanks.
Right.
But, that's just me.
And I think for Glenn, it's more about just the Giants need.
Yeah, and it's probably easier to get to. It's there.
Yeah.
And who knows?
Yeah, you never know.
We'll see.
Hey, we'll see. And you know what? I'm excited about baseball. Even though the Giants, I'm not thrilled for I'm not anticipating a great season, but I'm still gonna have hope that they shock me. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
I'm still gonna be pumped up for game 1 against Cincinnati.
Yeah, and everything.
And the season starting. And what I love about baseball, it's every day except when you have an off day, you're kind of like, dang, there's no game on.
Yeah, we missed it out. Yeah.
Right.
So I love the fact that the season's starting up again, and I am hopeful. I really am. I there's two sides to me, and I said, always tend to, if you go far to the right or far to the left, the truth's probably somewhere more in the middle. And I think the Giants have the potential to be a good team. If Fitzgerald, what happens if Fitzgerald hits 265 and hits 20 plus homers and steals 30 bases? And Wade and Flores and Wade and Flores produced 25 homers between them. And Adames hits 25 homers and Chapman hits 25 homers. And Bailey bulks up a little bit and he hits 15 homers and hits closer to 240, 250 and stays consistent. And then Ramos has even a better year, and Lee comes back and has a really good year. And then Matos takes over, and everything starts clicking. And I can see there is a world where I could see that happening. Then there's this other world where I say it's likely that very little of that happens, and they're under 500. And they fall flat on their face because guys get injured. Fitzgerald has a sophomore slump. Ramos doesn't do what he did before. They figure him out a little bit. Chapman reverts back to Chapman before last year. Adames doesn't have as great of a year. Flores and Wade look washed. Pitching. See, there's all of that. And that's why I say they probably fall somewhere right in the middle. Right in that 500 range.
Yeah, that makes sense. Honestly, that makes sense. And to your guys' point, love the game of baseball. Ready for it to start. I get a little disappointed, of course, in our Giants just because I expected more, right? And I wasn't over-expecting. Yeah, a little bit over-expecting. I was calling for freaking Juan Soto and Roki Sasaki because you know why? Because I want to see the team freaking succeed. There's no reason why the Giants couldn't have done that. They could have. If they really wanted to, they could have. Of course they didn't. But hey, then I was thinking, all right, well, maybe you go get Corbin Burns. Maybe you trade for a player. And you put together a good team. I think, Lou, you talked about it. At least put together a team that's going to be a solid contender for the wild card. Look, you're not going to win the damn division, not for years. You may not see the division for a while because Andrew Friedman, if you think Andrew Friedman is going to rest on his laurels, it ain't going to happen. They're going to restock. They're going to trade. They're going to do whatever it takes because they want to win.
It's all about the ownership.
They have a desire. The ownership, I don't have that feeling that they have that desire to win. That's my feeling, so to speak.
Yeah, my motto is, and it goes back to the early 80s, the Giants had a slogan, you got to love these kids. And they admitted we're going to play young, don't expect anything, but come to a ballpark, see a future superstar and have fun.
There you go.
Right now, that's not how it is. You're not sure what to expect. And, I mean, hey,
yeah,
both of our shows would be awesome if the Giants surprise us, but we also got to face reality. It's just one of those things, so we sort of have it either way. And, last year, a lot of our chats, especially, Eric, when you were still with Dan, was injuries, but every team goes through injuries. We can only use injuries as an excuse, and we kept coming up with excuses. The excuse was our team. Yeah, our team just wasn't that good. It wasn't the
Dodgers
injuries.
had 40 starters last year. Yeah. 40.
So
their rotation was built on barbed wire and freaking safety wire. Yeah. That's what it was. It was, and they won the damn World Series. So.
Yeah. Hey, Mike. All right, let's head out of here. We'll Eric will be on tomorrow. We'll come on at 7:45. They'll come on
8:30. We'll come on 8:30.
Okay. Tuesday night will be a little later, so we'll be 8:30 Tuesday. So, but yeah, hey, great to be together again, and
absolutely,
we will catch you guys next week, same time, Sunday night, 8:00 here for the Hot Corner. And it'll be back with us, the four of us again. So
there we go.
Sounds good.
So, all right. Well,
ready to get out of here?
Yeah, take us on out. Yep.
Let's get out of here. All right, guys. We'll see you on the next one.